Good afternoon, everybody. George, you're not in the dark anymore. Okay, it is 4:30. I'm going to start by saying that as of now, we have 13 participants. One is in the process of joining, so that will make 14. And we are being recorded. And I would ask everyone to mute their microphones unless they are speaking. And let's call this meeting to order, and we'll start by pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a really big flag outside my window that I just pledged to.
Yeah, but I think Chuck stole it.
No, now he's on the islands.
Oh, lucky guy.
All right. So I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen and all of you for being flexible and available to have this quick meeting to address an opportunity that the state of Connecticut has allowed us to consider. My hesitation, guys, is that I'm letting people in, okay? So we now have 15 participants. All right, so call to order, entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
So moved.
Okay, and there being no ability to amend it, I will take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, are there any public comments?
Laura, this is Karen. Can I go ahead and make a presentation of what you're going to be discussing later on the call to order?
I will allow the registrars to be part of the discussion of item number 5.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, any other public comment? Remember, you will have to unmute yourself.
Laura?
We have 16. Elizabeth, go ahead.
I just want to reinforce what was said at the last meeting regarding the safety of this voting election. I'm very concerned, having listened to the woman last time who was the nurse, as well as knowing our community member, Christina, who works in public health, I am very concerned about the risk of transferring COVID to someone in our community through this. And I just would like to go on the record as saying I encourage people to use the absentee voting. I think it's safer.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay.
Right, Laura,
Oh, Christina, go ahead.
I just wanted to echo what Elizabeth said, and just as a quick reminder, I have a PhD in infectious diseases, and I've been working in pandemic preparedness and response for about a decade. And I just want to reiterate the concern that I think some of the attendees last time articulated very well from their own perspectives. But you know, I do appreciate so much the responsiveness to the concerns and offering an absentee ballot. The risk to people voting in person is not high, but it's not zero. And it is a concern for me that this town is potentially putting some people at risk. There are all kinds of complicated questions if someone decides to show up not wearing a mask and refuses to wear one, what that would mean for poll workers who are there for longer periods of time. There's not clear data right now on surface to person transmission. There's not clear data on person to person transmission, how long the virus can stay in air. I do want to acknowledge the responsiveness again, and it's so good that the absentee ballot option is available. But we are as a town taking on a non-zero risk of having people vote in person during a pandemic, and that really is concerning to me. So I just want to emphasize that. Hope that we encourage everybody to use the absentee option, and just wanted to make that public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have 18 participants. Okay, any other public comment before we go along? All right, thank you. Item number 4, I'd like to make a motion to give approval of a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for an affordable housing planning grant with the State of Connecticut Department of Housing in conjunction with the town of Middlefield. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so in the past, if it was not last legislative session, it was this legislative session prior to that, a new law was passed requiring each town to create and submit an affordable housing plan. Our town planner, who, as you know, we share with the town of Middlefield, has found an opportunity for a grant of up to $15,000 to hire a consultant to help us write the plan. One of the things that Ed Bailey, first selectman of Middlefield, and I tasked our town planner with is to help us prepare this plan. So we are going to, we're looking to apply for some consultative services to help with this. And we're going to, if approved today, we're going to apply as a regional application, hoping that that gives us a little leg up because it will be a competitive grant. The state has allocated $500,000 for this, but I don't know how many other people will be planning to apply for this. So any discussion?
We have a meeting next Monday.
Yes, so I did ask, I said to the planner, can this wait until the 8th, or do you want me to put this on the special? And she said, the sooner the better that we put this application in. The applications will be accepted between March 9th and June 30th. So if you want more time on this, it definitely is possible, but the awards are going to be made on a first come, first served basis.
Right. I mean, I honestly, I only got to skim it, and that's one of the things I saw was March 9th to June 30, and it's June 1. I
Yeah.
know that time is of the essence, but I only got to skim it, so I would appreciate being able to table this till next Monday.
All right, we can do that. I'm okay with that. You want to make the motion?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. John, did you pop off? No. You there?
He's unmuted.
Still here.
Yeah,
Okay, heard you
I'm here.
now.
I
we're
said
gonna
aye.
table it.
I said aye. Yep.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, item number 5. I'd like to make a motion to rescind the vote to approve a call to a special town meeting for June 29th and replace it with a call setting a virtual town meeting for Tuesday, June 9th, in accordance with Governor Ned Lamont's Executive Order 700, to consider the following items. To elect 3 members to the Board of Education, said terms to expire December 6, 2021. To elect 2 members to a 2-year term on the Durham Middlefield Interlocal Agreement Advisory Board, said terms to expire June 30, 2022. To elect 2 members to fill a vacancy to 2021 on the Durham Middlefield. No, that's not right.
No, it is.
Oh, yes, it is. 2 members to fill a vacancy to 2021 term on the Durham Middlefield Interlocal Agreement Advisory Board. The only business to be conducted during the Zoom meeting will be to receive nominations for the candidates for the above referenced offices. Once nominations have been closed for the above referenced offices, the Zoom meeting on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 will be adjourned to Tuesday, June 30, 2020 for curbside voting to occur at the Corn School, to be conducted between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Absentee ballots are available upon request from the town clerk's office. Is
I'll
there?
second that motion.
Okay. Little background as to why we are doing this. In between the last meeting and this meeting, I worked with the administration after hearing some of the comments about the fear that hygienically people would feel unsafe to come in person and possibly be disenfranchised. I asked for the ability to offer the option of providing absentee ballots so that those people who were not comfortable coming in person would in fact not be disenfranchised. So when we received that ability after, a week or more of going back and forth, in consultation with our registrars of voter and the town clerk, we realized that having a meeting on the 29th would make it very difficult for people to request those absentee ballots. So we got counsel from our town attorney, and he said that the executive order would allow us to have an earlier meeting, put the names into nomination, and thereby providing a longer time for the issuance and receiving of absentee ballots. So that's the reason for this motion. And we also discussed that because this is such a big departure from the normal way we do things, that a postcard will be sent out similar to the postcard we sent out to about the tax relief programs, alerting people to come to the website and see who was put into nomination, and with clear instructions on how to vote. So that's the work that we've been doing since the last meeting. The registrars of voters did put in the plan for how the in-person voting will be conducted and received approval from the health director. Lou and Karen, you're on the line, I believe, right?
Okay.
Karen, I know you are. Lou, are you on the line?
I know he meant to be.
Yeah.
He messaged me and asked if it was 4:30. I told him yes. So
Yeah.
I think he should be on any minute.
Okay.
This is how I see what's happening. There's several changes. One is they're talking about not doing curbside voting, but actually doing voting inside Corn School. And that hasn't yet been approved by the health department, but we can't hold anything without approval from the health department. So that eventually will happen. I want to begin with, from my perspective, this is an election that should never have been held. The Board of Selectmen chose to hold it. Then the executive order required us that we did it with the least possible risk to the public. So we asked for an absentee ballot situation, which is what we're in the process of trying to improve. And then I do not think we should have an in-person voting option at all. I think that it is not, we are doing our hardest, Lou and I, to reduce the risk to the voters and the workers, but there is definitely going to be some risk. And you're asking me to ask my friends and my friends' kids to come and be exposed for 4 hours to a viral load. And we're hoping enough people will vote absentee ballot that it won't be a high viral load, but we're hoping there won't be a resurgence before the 30th. We're doing a lot of hoping. But where I am standing right now is the town attorney, the registrar of voters are in charge of deciding how the election will be held. The registrar of voters do not agree right now. Lou wants to have absentee and in person. I want to just have absentee. I have compromised so he can have the in person, but I am not going to hire any Democratic workers, any of my friends, to potentially be killed because I'm told that some people want to vote in person. I feel this is part of the office town hall reopening. The town clerk does not have to accept dog licenses in person, even though it's always done and even though everybody likes to do it. The desire to vote in person does not equal the risk to my workers of voting or to the voters themselves. And I think that because the registrar of voters can't compromise, that can't agree on whether or not the in-person should be held, I will be there at the in-person, but I will not hire anybody to work at the in-person election because I think that that is just dangerous without any reason. This isn't even an economic weighing interest. There's no reason to have in-person and expose people to the cost, the risk. They're my friends, they're my fellow town citizens. I don't want to expose them to the risk. So I have an email into the Secretary of State clarifying whether or not this is possible, that I can still meet my obligations under my office. I'm still hiring people to open the absentee ballots and things like that because I can control the risk there. But I will not be hiring Democrats because I think the Board of Ed, I think we should not have in-person elections. That's it.
Thank you, Karen.
Karen, just so I'm clear on this, normal absentee balloting requirements indicate that you're either sick or out of the state. You will waive that requirement and absentee ballots will be available to anyone who requests one?
I do not have the power to waive that requirement. Who has waived that requirement is the governor. And the governor's, my understanding, I'm probably doing this slightly inartfully, but my understanding is that since we cannot recognize who is sick and who isn't, everybody is going to be presumed sick for illness under the terms of the statute. So we will ask, everybody has to send in a request for an absentee ballot. My understanding is that you did not want to send an absentee ballot to everybody, and instead they're going to request an absentee ballot. When the request comes in, we confirm that they're an active voter, resident in Durham. We do all the usual confirmations. We then send out the ballot. The ballot will be blank because we don't know who is going, well, after June 9th, it will have the names on it. And they can either drop it off in the voter drop box, or they can mail it to be in the office by Tuesday, June 30th.
Okay, so the process still is that we're going to have a virtual town meeting. Nominations will be held at this town meeting on June 9th.
Yes.
There will be time to send out notifications, as Laura said, for the postcard to anyone requesting an absentee ballot. The ballots will actually have the names of the candidates on it for Board of Ed and DIMIAB. And then they will have a period of time to get that ballot back to the town hall to be tabulated.
If that is my understanding, if Kim and Lou and I agree, we might send out some blank ballots. If people need the extra time, we would treat it as a military 90-day blank ballot and send out some without the names on it. But we have not discussed if we're going to do that before the June 9th meeting. There's just so little time. And if it turns out that we want to do that, then we'll probably add that part of the absentee ballot process.
Is there a process for that? We have the meeting on June 9th. 3 weeks later is June 30. So is there a process where people have X number of days normally to return?
3 weeks is the standard time limit for having absentee ballots. The 90-day blank ballot I'm referring to is for those people who are stationed in Antarctica or nuclear submarines or in the Army that need the extra time to vote. And the candidates aren't set yet, so we send out a ballot that's blank with lines on it. And once the candidates are determined, the voter writes in the names and returns the ballot. So if we decide to send out a 90-day ballot before June 9th, when the nominations will be taken, we just haven't decided that yet. We're partly waiting on the results of this discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I say, I cannot imagine how we're going to describe this in a postcard if we're going to say, we're going to do this absentee, and then we're also going to have it in person, and then we're also going to, I just think this is going to be a very confusing postcard if we try to do in person as well as absentee ballots. I would like to do the postcard just focusing on in person. I mean, I'm focusing on the absentee ballot situation. That's my preference.
Well, my question to Laura and John is, if it's a 50-50 split between the electors, what's safe, you know, what one wants, what the other wants, and we're going to send postcards out, do we waive the curbside and just go ahead with the absentee?
George, can I answer? Can you hear me? This is
Hi, Lou. Yes.
So I agree with Karen on almost everything what we're doing. And she did a bulk of the work on trying to vote outdoors as safely as possible. She gets credit for a lot of that stuff. And Laura gets a lot of credit for asking for absentee voting because on the last BOS meeting, somebody did complain that they felt unsafe to attend. And my initial reaction was it was only for illness, but obviously the governor has relaxed those illness regulations to include those people that are fearful because there's no vaccine and there's no prescribed treatment thus far. And that, you know, anybody with acute spontaneous agoraphobia can get an absentee ballot by request from Kim and vote by absentee, which will reduce the turnout, obviously, by a bunch. Normally, you got 200 people to show up and vote for a BOE election. Maybe we'll get more now. But on the same note, Denise Merrill, when asking for the relaxation of the rules, wrote to the governor and said, polls must remain open otherwise. And so she's asking for both ways of voting. That's the way we've always done it in Connecticut. I believe since it's been less of a problem, the virus lately, it's weakening, it seems, and the governor will probably open the state on the 20th, that outdoor voting would be okay. That's where Karen and I disagree. And we're still trying to come to an agreement on that. But since there are other states that allow complete mail-in, but also open the polls, and Connecticut's never had a complete mail-in situation, I think we have to open polls for a good percentage of the people that want to vote in person. So that's where we are right now. I think the health directors approved our plan. And if we have to do it both ways, we will. And I will hopefully obtain people to be poll workers. I've reached out to younger residents of the town and to high school people. I assume I can get by the 30th enough poll workers to run the election if Karen cooperates with her people or not. She said she will be there. I'd like her to bring her Democrats because they're experienced. She could also recruit high school people.
So it's your interpretation that if we have an election, according to Secretary of State, we have to offer both absentee and in person?
Well, that's what her recommendation was to the governor, to relax the rules for absentee balloting, but also that the polls must remain open.
And George, it is not the purview of the Board of Selectmen, even acting as the legislative body, to determine how that election will be held. And so what I said to the registrars of voters is if they were unanimous in their approach to this, I would back them up. So if the two of them came to us and said, we truly believe that we need to do an entire election by absentee ballot, you know, I would respect their authority to do that. But if they were not in agreement, you know, my opinion is that we needed to do both.
Okay, so the how is up to the registrars.
It's up
The
to the
registrars do
registrars.
run the election by state statutes.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, thank you for that clarification.
So Laura, let me ask you this. If we came to agreement that since the turnout's going to be really low, that we could even just do it indoors because it would be so spread out in the gym with so few people attending, that wouldn't be an issue either. So that could even be a possibility.
Well, right now the call is calling for curbside voting to occur at Corn School.
Understood.
I think that you were looking for indoors to protect from inclement weather, not rain inclement weather, but thunder and lightning inclement weather.
Possible, right?
So then the other question would be on the postcard that Karen brought up.
Yep.
Could we encourage people to vote by absentee voting?
I don't have a problem with that. We could add something on the postcard that says, check for more information on the town website, you know, get more information there. We can post the latest information from the governor, you know, regarding what their recommendations are. And if we got an 80% absentee turnout, that's fine. But there could be 20% of the people that still want to vote in person, and I don't think we should deny them that right.
George, I would approach that postcard similar to the way we would have to and required to approach a postcard with explanatory text of a referendum, and that is to be neutral, like explain the facts, but not encourage one way or another, because this is an election.
Right. I mean, you're not encouraging someone how to cast their vote, just due to the pandemic, you know, reminding people that it's unusual circumstance. The governor is allowing something he's never allowed before, that is absentee voting when you're not sick or out of the country or out of the town on that day, and they can in fact take advantage of it. It's all how you word it.
Yep. Yeah.
Either way, Laura, I would, either way, I would,
I'm
if
sorry.
you wanted to go with it with procedural, historically, the way we've done it, that's fine. If the town Board of Selectmen decided they want to put more information in there, fine.
This is the first time, we have never allowed absentee voting at town meetings because town meetings require nominations from the floor and we didn't know who was nominated, so we couldn't do absentee ballots. So this is an unusual situation that you're even allowed. Denise Merrill was referring to the August primary, and that's subject to different laws. This is a town meeting election. And it's really hard because we're kind of discussing, one moment we're discussing a national election in November, the next moment we're discussing an August primary, and the next moment we're discussing a town meeting election. And they're all kind of different and the rules apply differently. And so it is a very unusual thing to be able to vote absentee. And I personally think the town should not be neutral because the whole purpose, the executive order says to do it in the safest way possible. And even if all we do is say, we think the safest way possible is to vote absentee, that would free up the town. I think it frees it up from liability. These are my friends who I'm hiring. I'm hiring people who've worked for me, who've been working the polls for 25 years, and I'm hiring their children. I do not want to put them at risk.
You don't have to hire your friend. You can even ask the state of Connecticut for assistance, Karen.
I'm still putting people at risk. Come on.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that we have voted on a school budget and a town budget differently than we've ever done it before, and for a reason, and it was COVID-19. I don't think stating that COVID-19 is still out there and we have this option and we've never been allowed to do this before, but we would encourage people to take advantage of it. I don't think that's stepping over the bounds.
Well, we'll try to be as clear and let's agree to this. We'll encourage without leading, and we'll get that language approved before we send it out. Can we agree on that?
I can. I just want Karen to be happy.
Thank you, George. I would like, I understand the desire to vote in person. I just think that it's because of pandemic that it's not something that should be overly encouraged. I think that even one death is one death too many,
I think we can all agree on that one.
Absolutely. And we're still trying to maintain people's freedom of choice and the ability to vote. And we're trying to do it obviously in the safest way possible, but democracy is, something that lives on. And if there's a clever way to do this without putting anyone at risk, I mean, that's what I would be all for, while people still have the voice.
Lou and I are doing our best to make both ways the safest possible, but it will not be completely free risk, but we're working to make it the safest possible.
I understand. And you guys obviously are doing a great job and we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Jared.
So are we ready to take a vote on the motion?
I think so. John, do you have anything?
Good.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, my last comment on this is that the attention that this has put, the attention that we have had to bring to bear on this election yielded an email from a resident asking for information on how she may put her hat in the ring. So I think that's a good side benefit that maybe these discussions have elevated the importance of serving on these boards. So that's a good thing. All right, thank you for your time today. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.